We've all been playing Crouching Tigers wrong. Crouching Tiger decks have always been about creating Tiger tokens with Predatory Strike and or Tiger Swipes, buffing them all up with Anthem effects such as Art of War, Roar of the Tiger or Head Leads Tail, then swinging in for 30 plus damage turn. But due to the inconsistency of this deck, the archetype quickly vanished. That was until we tried Crouching Tigers FAI. So to get right into it, to understand why FAI is the better Crouching Tigers deck, you have to look at the two major problems in the Crouching Tigers Katsu deck. The first one being that it was weak to disruption when you draw into your combo hand, and then the second, that your regular hand struggled to make use of these random Tiger tokens. This made the Katsu's deck feel like you were doing nothing until you drew into a combo hand, and then when you finally did draw into that combo hand, you had to get on your hands and knees and beg your opponent not to disrupt you this turn. But now, this is where Tigers FAI fixes both of these major flaws at the same time. To explain, the first problem of Katsu versions feeling like you're doing nothing until your combo turns was solved because you're just playing a strong FAI deck as a base, abusing the powerful draconic cards like Blaze Headlong, Mounting Anger, Lava Burst, and Brand with Cinderclaw, specifically the yellow brand, but just having this base deck allows you to just do the normal FAI thing of brrr your opponent's face off while you're setting up for your combo turn. Now, I pointed out the yellow brand because of the synergy it has with Tiger Stripe Shukos. This made it so you'd be able to buff any random Tiger tokens you make, turning them into Draconics to make your hero ability cheaper, and always giving you the option to viably add any tokens that you make to the chain for your mask triggers. And then with this small synergy, we soon realized that Shukos was actually the solution to the Crouching Tigers puzzle. Since this arm piece already allows you to viably utilize any random Tiger tokens we make, fixing the awkwardness in your regular draws, then on top of that, Shukos actually also solved the weak to disruption problem as well. They did this when you pair the Shukos with Flamescale Furnace and even Mask of Momentum to give you up to 6 block in your equipment, which is a massive upside that the Katsu version just never had access to. This means when you draw into that combo hand, the opponent actually just doesn't get a chance to disrupt you now due to our powerful blocking equipment. So in summary, Tigers FAI has better turns on average, along with access to powerful blocking equipment to ensure that you can actually present your combo turns when you draw into them. So if this list still doesn't make sense to you, let's get into a gameplay to show just how powerful the Tiger Shell is in FAI. So game 1, we're up against Alexi here, and they put me first. Instantly I noticed the Shocks and Purge Grapplers on the Lexi side, so we can already assume that they're on Ice Lexi, which is a terrible matchup. But since we're going first, just going to swing in with both of my Kodachis here and pass prior to the Lexi. They take 2 down to 38, and then pitch a card to load in another using their Voltaire. The thing about this is now they've lost 2 cards from their hand, and I have this Art of War and Roar of the Tiger that I can potentially get value from right now, along with this breaking point. I thought about it for a second, then I realized since it is Ice Lexi, I'm probably never going to get another undisrupted turn this entire game, so I decided to just send it here. First we roar to make a Tiger token in our hand, and due to that token being in our hand, we can use Art of War to banish that token to draw 2 cards and buff all our attacks by 1. We draw into a Predatory Streak, which is perfect, so we play that and send in 3 Tiger tokens, each buffed by both Art of War and the Roar of the Tiger. So opponent blocks the first and the second Tiger, but now that they're left with no hand, we get to send in the last Tiger that hits them for 2 and end the chain with a breaking point for 6, which kills their arsenal and puts their life total down to 30 to start the game. So massive turn for us, we just pass it over to them. On their turn, they play out a Channel Lake Frigid, which definitely sucks for us, load and fire a Heat Seeker for 6. I have a blue in hand, so I'm actually able to play out my hand through this Channel Lake, so I decide to not block, take 6 down to 34. At the end of their turn, the Heat Seeker triggers, flipping in a Cold Snap into their arsenal, which sucks as well for us. But over on our turn, we're just going to pitch this blue, swinging with double strike for 1, then double strike again for 2, thanks to the Shuko trigger. Opponent takes both hits down to 27, and then I follow up with an E strike for 7 on hit draw, thanks to our mask. Opponent snap no blocks, taking 7 down to 20. We draw into a Lava Burst, arsenal it, and pass it back. So over to them, they start by playing the Cold Snap. I ain't paying shit, so we just let it resolve. But good news is they didn't pitch an Ice card here, so maybe the channel will die this turn. But then the opponent follows up, loads in a Chilling Ice Vein, and swings in Fused, showing another Channel Lake. So here I realize if I don't block out this turn, that they can just activate Shocks or play the Channel Lake to disrupt me anyway. So just gonna block the Chilling here with 2 cards. Then they follow up with a Frostlock for 5, which I quickly block out also. Happy to just try and maintain our life advantage here, so when they pass it to us, we just pass it back. So it's their turn again, they flip that channel that we know about, giving us a Frostbite. Then they load in a Heat Seeker into Arsenal and swing in with a Command and Conquer. So here we already have a chance at showing off just how good that blocking equipment equipment is by blocking 6 on the Command and Conquer right now, so we can look to punish the off turn from the Lexi here. So we do just that, and then they pass to us. Our turn, gonna lead off with Art of War, banishing the Salt, and drawing into a Flex Clause and a Blaze Headlong. So we start off with our double strike for 2, they take it and swing again for 2, which they take also, down to 16. We follow it with a Blaze Headlong for 5, they don't block here either because there's no Mask Trigger, so they take that, and then we follow up with a Flex Clause on hit, make a Tiger. Opponent gives us a card and their boots here to cover it, to deny the Tiger token, which makes sense, but then we end the chain with a Lava Burst for 6, which they take, down to 5. So massive turn for us, we pass it to them. Lexi's turn, they 3 of a kind and play out a Channel from Arsenal, which already sucks for us. They then follow up with a fused Blizzard Bolt for 5 on hit Frostbite, which sucks again. Just gonna try and leverage my health lead here by not blocking and looking to present lethal in my next turn. So we take it down to 29 and we get a Frostbite. They follow that up with a Heat Seeker for 5 on hit Frostbite as well. We have double blue, so fuck it, no blocks. They shocks it once, so we actually take 6 down to 23, and then we get 2 more Frosties. Then they Arsenal their Icequake that we know about, show us an Endless Arrow from the Heat Seeker trigger, and then pass it to us. So on our turn, gonna pay 4 to attack for 1. They take that down to 4, then we attack again. This time they just give us Tunic, then we follow up with Brand for 3, which the opponent actually takes down to 1. So in this next turn, hoping we can keep a blue to Kadachi lock them, but it's not feeling very promising already. When they flip the Icequake on their turn, play it, and then swing in for 8 with a Remorseless. So since we got such a nice health lead here, no blocks, just need to get back to our turn with cards. After that, the opponent closes the chain and plays a Codex of Frailty to bring back that same Remorseless. The funny thing is I actually have a super funny line here. So I actually grabbed my double strike and put that into the arsenal from the Codex of Frailty because I can use it to attack for 0 and then buff it with Ancestral for the win. So they swing in with the second Remorseless, don't care about it, take 10, and they pass it to us. So on our turn, pitching 3 to attack for 0 with our double strike from Arsenal, thanks to the Frailty token. Obviously the opponent isn't going to block a card on an attack coming in for 0, so we Ancestral it and we get the win. GG's. So I highly recommend people try this list out for themselves as it's super fun and surprisingly viable. Leaving the list in the description below like always, but for now, we out. Peace.